after retiring from co-driving is when he started the ABDUL SIDI Rally Academy. This academy is actually been put together to be able to help nurture and train our future rally drivers and co-drivers and officials. So he's been a great resource for this sport, motorsports here in Kenya, and he's the go-to person when it comes to training, and we are really glad to have you here, ABDUL SIDI. Asante sana. Yeah, give them that round of applause, man. Next to me here is a man who has a very synonymous name in motorsport. He's been at it for more than 20 years now. His name is MUSA LOCHO. He's been in rallying since 2001, and he's currently the FIA, and if you do not know FIA is a global regulating body that looks after the running of motorsports around the world. So he's actually an FIA accredited technical delegate for Africa. Now, technical delegate, which we will get into details, is a man who's very important when it comes to organizing motorsports events, and we'll delve into that as we get to know more about them and just listen to them. And also he had a very interesting partnership back at the time when he was rallying. He was being navigated by a lady called Carol Wahome, and they really made some big headlines back in the day, and I think ABDUL SIDI will agree with me that MUSA LOCHO was one of those top indigenous drivers that we had during his time, but he's still passionate about it. He's also a former Formula 2 champion, and he's also at the moment also dabbling in business. So please, a round of applause for MUSA LOCHO. And on my farthest left, sorry, I forgot my tab, my iPad, so I'm using papers. JOAN NESBITT. Please give a round of applause to JOAN NESBITT. Now, JOAN NESBITT has also been in motorsports for a number of years, and to be exact, since 2011. She has participated in the Safari Rally. She has finished one Safari Rally, and that is something to celebrate because, as you know, Safari Rally is one of the top global events, and we'll be talking about that in a short while. And she actually managed to go back to the finish line, which is one of the biggest consolations for any rally driver who gets to participate in the Safari Rally. Now, something unique about JOAN NESBITT is that she is one of the drivers who was part of a very important team in the ladies' inclusion in rallying. That is Haraka Mamas, a very unique name they had, and she was being navigated by Tamara Jones in a Toyota Tercel back at the time when she was still active in rallying. She has had 11 starts in rallying, 2 retirements, and with the biggest and important, as I said, finishing the Safari Rally. So ladies and gentlemen, a big round of applause for JOAN NESBITT. Now let's just jump right into it, ladies and gents. I mean, guys, you'll have to agree with me. It's a well-balanced panel, isn't it? Yeah, sometimes you find it's just, I know you were expecting maybe if you hadn't advertised the names of the panelists, I think it's just a row of men. But it's good to see ladies really taking up the sport and coming to talk about a very important sport that we have in the country. Now, I'll start off from my extreme right. And I won't go too far in terms of starting off this conversation. The biggest conversation right now in Kenya and motorsport is the return of Safari Rally onto the World Rally calendar. 2020, we have the Safari Rally back. And just to give you a background, 2013, if I'm not wrong, is when we last had 2012. 2002 is when we had our last WRC Safari Rally here in Kenya. And for many reasons, it got excluded, which we will, if we can, we will just delve a little more. But right now, it's celebrating the return of Safari Rally. Now, TUTA, the return of Safari Rally back to Kenya and the World Championship calendar is big news. How big was it for you as somebody who's been passionate about motorsports here in Kenya?
For me, of course, it was made having watched the rally as a child, when Safari was part of the World Rally Championship as a child, and then dreaming about it and getting an opportunity to actually be part of it. Of course, there's so many things that Musa is talking about when it comes to the cars and the technical bit that will allow certain cars to participate. But just the opportunity to be able to be part of it as a co-driver is huge. It's huge, and it's huge for the generations to come. That will definitely grow the sport, maybe back to where we were back then. We've seen numbers dwindling, but hopefully the WRC coming back to Kenya will grow our skills as drivers, will grow the skills of officials and our technical people, our mechanics. If you're interacting with the best in the world, there's no reason why we should grow.
Fantastic, an amazing answer there. Abdul, I know you can talk about this, get a full, and by the way, Abdul also is a columnist on Daily Nation, Abdul SIDI. I don't know how many of you have read his columns on Daily Nation. Yeah, Karim, #1 fan there. So Abdul, just give us your reaction and your thought about the return of WRC. It was really a heartbreaking moment, especially for somebody who's taken part in 18 safari rallies. You took part when we had the world champions coming to compete here. What were your reactions to that news?
I think, first of all, let me say a big thank you to Asif Karim. This is a real good platform to promote sports. And I'm sure we need people like you, independent, who can give lots of people opportunity to come, talk, discuss, promote the sport. And I'm so thankful to you to have given us the opportunity to come and talk about the sport we love. Thank you. When you're talking about the safari rally, I talk with passion. I've done 18 safari rallies. Rallies that time were 5,800 kilometers, 5 nights and 6 days. Let me tell you, it may sound so big, but at that particular time when you're doing the event, you feel fit. Every day was a different day. Every hour was energetic, and you're geared up. And safari, we lost the WRC in 2002. Sorry, we had it in 2002. 2003, it was out of our way. One, we didn't have support from the government. If I can tell you, all we needed from the government at that time was 2.5 million. 2.5. At this moment, 2.5 is 250,000. 2.5 million we could not raise as motorsport leaders. So lacking that support from the government, the FIA walked away from us. And we lost it. So ever since 2 or 3, we've been trying to regain the WRC status. And we did not succeed until this year, when President Uhuru Kenyatta put his own effort, energy, to try to get Kenya the WRC. And when FIA President Jim Todd saw there is a president of the country who is serious, and he's talking of serious commitment, and then you have Phineas Murphy, the chairman of the WRC Safari Rally, and he's the chairman of the Kenya MOTORSPORT. We put all the efforts together, and that's how we were able to secure WRC for Kenya coming next year. We'll have the event, the 14 events next year. Monte Carlo will lead the WRC. We will be the 6th event in July 13 to 16, if I'm not wrong. So we've got a lot to give. Each nation gets about 4.8 million people who take interest in going to watch and follow that rally.
And that's basically both those who actually come into the country and those who are actually watching it either via live stream or Facebook or through live transmission. And I know where you're going with that, which we'll definitely want to expand on a little bit more. And I mean, he's got amazing history on the safari and motorsports in Kenya, and definitely he's a man, even after this discussion, it'd be good to just grab his hand and he can tell you more. But on the same vein of talking about the reactions that we had in terms of knowing safari rallies back into Kenya, MUSA LOCHO, you've done safari, you've been there as a driver. What came to mind when it came when you got that news that you're coming back?
Of course, first of all, thank you very much for having us here. We were quite elated to the safari 2020, after a very well concerted effort of the team of Phoenix Club, and of course our patron His Excellency. But now that we have the safari, it is a lot because it's not the same business as usual like we were running many years ago, 2020.
It has changed.
It has changed.
Technically, the dynamics are different.
Drastically.
Fantastic.
Drastically. So we have a lot.
Joan, your reactions to the return of safari back to Kenya?
Getting to do more extra training through international event. We will have better trained personnel, which I'm really looking forward to. And a good experience for the drivers as well, and everybody competing, and spectators. I mean, it's a championship event.
Of course, we also applaud us as Kenyans for actually putting the pressure, because we individually had that. We have that. Every person you talk to, the memories of Safari Rally would always evoke that time during Easter. And you remember your dad, your mom would pack up maybe a crate of soda with the family members, some nice meal, sit under a tree somewhere. If the rally route was coming through near where you stayed, and most of the time it had been through all the key towns in the country. Still on Safari Rally, we are here for a very specific purpose as we celebrate the Kenya International Sport and Film Festival. Now, Safari Rally gives sports, and especially motorsport, a very unique platform when it comes to selling the country, showcasing what we have, and this will mean the beginning of all the beautiful, attractive side of the country globally. Something that we missed for those, I think it's 17 years or so. Abdul, this is to you. In terms of us being seen out there, it could be a TV program, it could be a news program. The big broadcasters come to Kenya for coverage of the Safari Rally. What are you seeing in terms of the big steps that we'll be making to be able to sell the country as a great location, and also being a great opportunity to sell this also as a nice film location? Because the offshoot of this is that if a movie director or producer is seeing, by chance, gets to see Safari Rally online and sees a beautiful landscape that he thinks can come and shoot, a movie in Kenya, it's just one of the byproducts of the benefit with Safari Rally going back to the world calendar. Your thoughts about that, and how can we utilize that to sell the country?
Well, first of all, for the country itself, it's a big benefit. What the country will benefit is a number of people coming to visit as tourists, because they'll get the chance to watch running cars, and they'll get the lions and the elephants and all wildlife. And that's why they will be here. Like I said, each nation is expected to attract 4.8 million spectators, fans, online, everything. 10% of that. It's a huge income.
In terms of the economic return from that?
Yeah. Right now, all the hotels on that side of the Russia where the rally will be based are booked. The teams have already booked hotels and
Wait a bit, you mean of course the World Rally Championship teams that are there already have already started doing their planning for 2020. They are booking hotels and other.
In fact, during this there were teams there, the officials were there, they were monitoring the situation, and somehow they knew they are coming here next year to the WRC, and they have booked the hotels. All the teams have booked the hotels. Somehow is fully booked, but it's one team that has booked all the hotel, that hotel. And there's about 6 teams coming The hotels around Naivasha are fully booked. You as an individual, forget it if you want to go and book a hotel at this time. So that's a big beneficial part to the tourism in Kenya, to the government, because it's also put lots of effort in there. And the government has also put lots of funds, finance in the WRC, so that we are able to get this event for the benefit of the whole Wananchi, the fans, the drivers. And I'm sure the drivers are very much excited, the fans are very much excited. For me, I'm extra excited. I'm really, if you can, my hair is standing. You can literally see.
Yeah, actually, just by talking about it.
Yeah. So I've been there, and Mr. Sunny Louis, I remember you from the days of KBC. Yeah. Yeah. So it's a big. The drivers are excited because now they will be competing with world stars. Here, for the last 17 years, we've been competing amongst ourselves with the drivers of the cars that we have. But now the competition even goes a bit higher. The cars are more competitive, the drivers are they're quicker, and let's see what happens. The foreigners come here, one, because Kenya is a beautiful country.
Now, on the same vein in terms of, now from where you sit, TUTA, as a champion co-driver, a motorsport personality of the year 2018, I mean, that already has elevated you to a point where you're looking at this sport differently from just anybody else. You're looking at it competitively. You're looking at it in terms of, the edge, in terms of being advanced in the machines that you use together with your team. Now, the return of WRC, as much as it's a fun and it's going to be a great opportunity for the country to sell its amazing scenery, the people, the culture, let's look at the competition side of it. You sit in a rally car. How does it make you feel that you'll have the Tanaks and the Ogiers coming into the country and you'll be rubbing shoulders with them at the service park? You know, you'll be just walking by, like, maybe you'll not even notice it because of the pressure of competing. What is that? What does that feel for you?
It's amazing, and in our social forums, I've seen some drivers say, if I drive, I'll probably retire in the first section so that I get to watch the drivers. The people are torn between competing and watching the international, their idol.
Watching the idol.
Yeah, but for me, and maybe the testament is to when Tapio, who's a British champion and Finnish champion, came to the country to race. That already elevated the standards and the speed of our drivers. That was one person. Now imagine having this I think we have it for 3 years initially. Every year we have these top drivers and their top cars and the top mechanics. And even for the media, I mean the top rally media in the world. What can't we learn if we choose to learn? There's so much for us to learn. The cars, hopefully, I think in ABDUL's and MUSA's days, some of the teams would leave the cars behind.
Yes.
I don't know if that will happen. Then we get to
it used to be they would leave their service vans,
yes,
I mean, to deserved people who've worked with them preparing for that rally.
And the kind of technical guys who've helped us right now with our cars are people who learned their skills back then. So we have younger people coming into the sport, younger mechanics, and they learn so much. We can only get better.
Fantastic.
And we want to grow the sport from the young teams, and hopefully that the numbers grow as well. These kids will have watched live what we watch on TV,
Exactly.
and will want to emulate these drivers.
Right.
I think there's no limit to where motorsport can go in this
Fantastic.
country.
Now, of course, you cannot talk about motorsports without touching on the technical aspect of it, and that's why we have MUSA LOCHO here. Now, MUSA, I'm sure you're also excited. As much as you're an FIA, I'm sure you rub shoulders with them who go in the meetings in FIA office. He said extremely. He's bragging, yeah? So, technically, this will create a lot of attention from the rest of the world that all these people, the top drivers, are coming in Kenya to drive. And what I mean by attention is that they will want to watch how they perform here. Now, for the last several seasons or so in motorsports in Kenya, more specifically rallying, we've had top local drivers investing tens of millions of Kenya shillings in acquiring some of the top-range, top-notch rally cars, and even some importing mechanics, co-drivers from Europe. I mean, that in turn tells you they will have a following who will be seated down watching on TV to see how their people are doing in Kenya. From the technical aspect, I don't want to assume that we'll match up with them immediately, but where do you think we are technically when we get back onto the WRC technically? With the cars that we have here, we have the R5s, several of them in the country right now.
Ideally, under regulation, maybe 3 or 4 cars.
In Kenya, only 3 or 4 have a chance to match up.
But what we're doing, we're trying to seek some dispensation for our national cars to be allowed to run. If you go maybe 3 or 4 cars will be allowed.
It's very tempting to get technical right now for you, but if you break it down to what we see on the roads, we have the top Skodas and the VW. Now, how big is this when it comes to the drivers who are choosing these cars and the cars that you're going to have here? Just on a basic terms, the difference of now that will even force us to change those.
If I may say something, when he talks about 3 or 4 cars in Kenya which can rally, it doesn't mean to say the rest of the guys are not going to rally in the safari. We've got about 4 or 5 classes in the safari rally. You've got the R5s, which will score points for the WRC. The rest of the drivers, the crews, the cars will be scoring points for the National Rally Championship. So you like
the local championship. Yeah.
So those who don't have the R5s, they will not be able to, even if you win the safari, you will not get points for the WRC. You will only get points for the Kenya National Rally Championship. Sorry.
Thank you, Abdul. Now,
I agree with what Abdul is saying.
Yeah.
But what happens now is we have to get a special waiver even to run those classes in that rally. And if they do run, then they're supposed to run under a different regulation and start their rally after the main event, maybe 15 or 30 minutes after. So technically it will look like there are 2 different events. In fact, I think we should have different officials
running that bit. Okay, fantastic. Thank you so much, Musa. Now let me delve a little bit more on the ladies' side. Haraka Mamas, JOAN NESBITT, co-driven by Tamara Jones. Just where are we in terms of women's participation in rallying in Kenya? It's a handful, but I'm sure there is with the return of one of the sponsors into the sport has given some impetus to the competition. But where are we in terms of women rallying in Kenya, in motorsports?
Drivers and navigators. One is, it is expensive, and you don't get the opportunity all the time. There are times when people are not, especially male drivers, would prefer to have another male with them. Women have life preservation.
It's in the system.
We're not going to overdo it. Very careful, but we're good. We're fast, like TUTA. I think we still need more encouragement. We need more women. We need to come forward. A lot of women are shy. I've spoken to a lot of women who do want to rally, but it's getting the know-how and where do they go, who do they speak to. We're always forwarding them to ABDUL SIDI, but it's just trying to get the women back into the sport. Everyone thinks, no, this is a male-dominated sport. It is not for women. It is for women. It's just that there are more men driving. If we all got into cars, and there are very good women drivers in the country, if we had cars, I'm sure that we could easily beat the men. We're good. We are good.
Fantastic. Jerry, it's always good to hear the inclusion of women in the sport that is predominantly been thought that can only be competed in by men. And these are through TUTA in terms of what efforts are you putting as a current active motorsports stakeholder in terms of saying what, or supporting what she's saying in terms of giving more opportunities for women to be able to embrace this sport. As much as there is a self-preservation, you're very good in that, but still doing it in a way that will interest them to, you know, come in and just inquire a little bit more. What efforts have you done, especially now that you actually are the vice chair of the Women in Motorsports initiative?
What we've done, Johnny has mentioned that between 2011, I think 2013-14, we had about between 15 and 18 women.
That's not bad. That's a good number.
It was a good number. Most of us met at ABDUL SIDI Rally Academy and not just raced together, but formed a special bond as women in motorsport. When we realized that the numbers are going down, was it last year? About 2017, we decided to do something about it, and that's when we came up with the Women in Motorsport Kenya. It's not unique. There is the FIA Women in Motorsport. So what we are doing currently, we're in the process of registration to make it easier for women, not just rally drivers and co-drivers, but we're talking about the mechanics, the sports, the journalists, officials. There's so much that women can do in the sport. Excuse me. It doesn't have to be in the car. So when Johnny talks about women wonder, how do we approach, especially a gentleman recently told me motorsport is an ego sport. So when a woman is wondering how do we approach these men to try and understand how to get into the sport, if you have a group of women that is out there and saying we are the women in motorsport, they'll find it easier to approach us and find the channels to get to ABDUL SIDI Rally Academy, for example. MUSA now has, I think, a team of, is it 2 women technical? Two ladies who are training.
Who are under your wing, under the technical?
Yes. I have them actually under me for the Safari 2019.
Fantastic. Yes. Candidate in
yes.
Fantastic.
So that's what we're trying to do. There's the FIA Women Girls on Track program. We are missing out in Africa because maybe we don't know how to approach the FIA Women in Motorsport. If you get a chance or an opportunity to through the federation to approach the FIA Women in Motorsport, then our girls, and we have young girls in karting and motocross, why are they missing out on these opportunities where they can be trained? And this is the future generation of the sport.
Because I know I would like to direct a question to him, now that it is the only academy for rally in Kenya that we have, the ABDUL SIDI Rally Academy, to connect with what she's saying in terms of giving a platform to not only just the ladies, but both gents and ladies to even inquire. Tell us just a little bit about ASRA. ASRA has been there for several years now. You've groomed and nurtured some of our top.
A lot of us.
Bengi is one of the big beneficiaries. Bengi is TUTA MIONKI's driver in the Kenya National Rally Championship this season and the previous season. Actually, previous two seasons. How is ASRA coming into play to provide this or to answer these questions that arise from passionate young rally enthusiasts?
Thank you, Peter. ASRA, it's not only in Kenya. ASRA is the only body in Africa. There's nobody else who does what I'm doing. I teach in Rwanda, Uganda, Burundi, Tanzania, and Kenya. I've got over 60 students in Kenya who are rallying, and I'm so proud.
These are active. They're actively involved on and off, of course, in the championship.
And I've got lots of marshals. The Meru Rally had 99.9% of the organizers were all my students.
Makofi ya mwalimu tafadhali. Makofi.
Helen Shiri, COC, JOAN, they were all there, and I'm so proud. So let me, first of all, I was also privileged to have been invited by the president of FIA, Jean Todd, a couple of months back in Rwanda, to give a speech on what I am doing, and the only person in Africa that does what I've been doing, developing the sport from the grassroots. And all these things that I've been doing, I do it for free of charge. I don't charge. I pass my time, and I've got great experience, knowledge, and friends. And all those students, though I don't have my own child who is interested in motorsport, my only girl, she is married, she doesn't want to know the sport. But these are my these are my children, yeah? So doing it for free of charge, lots of people have come up. Now I will also probably disagree with some of the sentiments which have been expressed. Why are there no more women? Let me tell you, the sport itself is expensive. And there is one thing that I say, if you want to be a rally driver, your parents must be rich. Your parents must be rich, but your parents are not going to be that stupid to give you that money for you to go and buy a rally car. So a rally car, for example, the Skoda R5 is about 25 million Kenya shillings. One rally car. 25 million shillings.
That's the car. You've not brought in the kit.
One suspension of a Skoda is 1.2 million. You can buy
Suspension.
3 weeks.
With one suspension.
Yeah, one suspension.
All right. Guys with fits, you know your position now.
Tire and rim, 50,000. Gearbox, 3.5 million. Turbo, 350,000. 1 liter of fuel, F-gas, will give you 2.5 kilometers. 2.5. Yours will give you 25 kilometers.
Just to add on to that, the big cars that we're talking about now, the R5, they don't use F-gas anymore.
Yeah.
Different type
They're
of
using
fuel.
what is called competition fuel.
Yeah.
It's called that
Racing
oil.
fuel, yeah.
And that goes for about $12 per liter. And the car maybe burns 1 liter to the kilometer.
Guys, for ground, things are different. Eh? Just be aware. But yes, just go.
To the top class drivers, like I said, first of all, I stayed independent. I used my brain. I never took interest in driving. I only navigated. For 25 years, I navigated people like Patrick Njiru, Azar Anwar, 7 times African champion Satwan Singh from Zambia in Uganda Rally, World Group N champion from Belgium in the Safari Rally. Nobody taught me how to navigate. Self-discipline, self-commitment, and the things that I learned in life. I never drank, I never smoked. As a navigator, you are a lady looking for the right husband. Or the husband looking for the right lady. And the moment the word goes, Nani, msichana ule, you know, it's fire. Nobody is going to talk to you. So I realized words really went out there to say Abdul SIDI is a good guy, is a good, responsible person. So you need to be really committed. You need, now what I did, I stayed clever. I used the stupidity or the disadvantage of these drivers who are spending so much money. But in the car, I am telling him what to do. I am the team boss. I am telling the service crew what to do. I am the media
You're the face of the team.
Yeah, and I'm the boss to the driver who has spent 25 million shillings in his car. To me, over 25 years, I spent 1,000 shillings from my own pocket. It is being recorded. Patrick Njiru owes me 1,000 bob. Because Patrick called me from Mombasa and said, Abdul, can you go to AA? AA of Kenya used to run motorsport that time, and the license was 900 shillings. Now license is 35,000. 25,000 shillings now. So that time I went and took the license. Today, when I'm talking like this, that's the time I remember, Patrick, you owe me 1,000 bob. Yeah. So that's
amazing history. And as I told you, Abdul, see, this is a whole walking thesaurus about motorsports in Kenya, having been directly involved in it. That said and done, I'll turn to Musa just to, because he's been a competitor and he understands these dynamics that Abdul is talking about. He invested in it, he was passionate about it, still passionate about it. My burning question now, after hearing all this, how can we make Kenyan motorsports attractive? In terms of, not only should we just wait for us to World Rally Championship, but make it attractive that we can sell and even partner. Like for example, this event is partnering with KFCB. It's a very big collaboration which will help, and of course, many advantages to this event. Now, how can we make motorsports attractive and make it in a way that we're selling the country, not only about tourists coming in and taking pictures of our own Mount Kenyas and our sceneries, but use sport, motorsports for that matter, and the big world appeal that it has to be able to get out there to the world.
Yeah. First of all, we need such forums and platforms to sensitize all the players.
Very true.
For example, not many companies are taking advantage of the tax rebate on sports.
Very few actually
have
are doing
taken
that.
that opportunity. True. And look at many companies, blue chip, local companies, international companies, they've not invested in that, and they can get a rebate on tax. So we need such platforms to sensitize the players and the would-be players, and make it a bit more competitive and commercial. Not many people are sponsoring local drivers. The few are very difficult, and we have big local companies, which is unfortunate, and they would get a tax rebate on this.
So I think the biggest challenge is the awareness.
Exactly.
Yeah, because motorsports in Kenya, we are going back to 1950 when we had the first safari to celebrate the coronation of the Queen, and it's still active now. WRC left, but we still somehow managed to get a partner who actually was kind enough to keep it. Otherwise, we would have been talking about a different story right now.
True.
JOAN, with your experience in motorsports, what can we do? Because you know, women look at things differently in terms of how do we make it attractive? How do we make Kenyan motorsport attractive to be able to get the attention of the world through film, through TV? What can we do just to spice it up a little bit, from your opinion?
There's actually, sorry, there's a lot we can do, and just like Musa said, we need sponsorship. Sponsorship really helps to bring it out. With sponsorship, women come on board. You'll get a whole generation of people wanting to come on board because there is the money there. It is all about the money, but if you use it correctly, that's how the sport will be promoted. With more sponsorship, more women coming in. I mean, for example, we've sat in board meetings, and you'd be surprised that some managers do not know what rallying is. They have absolutely no idea.
They just know it's just fast cars.
Just fast cars, you get in the car and you just drive and that's it. So by bringing women on board through sponsorships, because I mean, we do look good and we do portray the sport in such that you'd like to see a woman driver, wouldn't you? You'd like to see a navigator. There's so many amazing navigators out there that will come in that can drive. You're like, wow, she can actually drive this car. She navigates really well. Just by promoting women, actually, it does help. It does bring it in, and you know, just what Musa said.
Yeah, if I can just add on to that, you see, people are so stereotyped. Most organizations think just because a big beverage company puts up billboards, that's what everybody wants to do.
There's more to it.
There's more to it. I mean, if you can put small money on a car, it's a moving billboard. We have 8 events in the year. You can rally in the region. I mean, your billboard is just moving.
Just awareness. Just briefly, we are wrapping this up. And guys, if you have a question or two, I'll just have 2 minutes for 2 or 3 questions from the audience. So you can prepare your questions as we wind up with two of our panelists telling us about, one, how do we make it attractive? And actually, let me actually deal with the safety aspect. We've heard about what do we need to do to make it attractive. Let's hear about the safety aspect, because we cannot talk about motorsports without talking about safety. TUTA, I'll ask you in terms of, are we there yet in terms of the measures we have for the safety and the proper running of rallying in Kenya? Just if you can make it short and brief.
I don't think we're there yet. I think there's a lot to be done. But what we saw with the candidate event was actually proof that it can be done.
It can be done.
Yeah, so there are teams that are working with the project, the WRC project and the safety teams, and it's possible. But like Musa says, forums, educate the fans, not just the drivers.
Such forums.
Yes.
Fantastic. Abdul?
Yeah, safety is paramount. Safety is both for the competitors and for the spectators. And we really need to be careful. Even for the spectators, my job is to train the marshals to make sure where the spectators stand. As a spectator, please do not stand on the outside of the corner. Stay on the inside of the corner. That's the logic. As a rally driver, as a navigator, okay, even if you can't buy a car and you want to be a navigator, you need to buy the overall, you need to buy the helmet, you need to buy a hands device, head and neck support. That's all money. Overalls, double layer is about 80,000 shilling. Helmet is about 35,000 for head and neck hands device. So the rules are so strict that if you are seen, you as an official of that rally, spotted in the stage, as a driver you have folded your sleeves, you will be quickly disqualified.
That's how strict it is.
You will be disqualified because they will not even look for any proof. As an official, you're a judge of fact, and your word is final. So, and if your seat belts are loose, you're spotted, you're out. If your helmet is loose, you're spotted, you're out. So everything has got to be intact. All the seats, even the overalls, the seat belts, everything, they're timed. FIA gives you 4 years. After 4 years, you need to buy another set.
I'm telling you, it's not a cheap sport, but if you have the right direction, follow the guidance of Mzee SIDI hapa, as mwalimu, as you've heard, you'll definitely be on the path to be able to learn more a little bit about this sport. So I'd like just to open the floor for 2 questions. If somebody has a question in regards to this topic on motorsports in Kenya, please, the floor is open. Chris has a mic over there. Sami Louis, I'm sure you have a question. You're in the front row seat.
Thank you very much. I think I can talk without any fear of contradiction. That amongst a whole lot of you there, apart from Abdul, I was involved in the safari riding. Those days, none of you was around. But it's refreshing. Outgiven yourself. Yeah, were you there in the times when it was actually the safari rally with the VW? No. And also with people, excuse me.
Maybe
this one has come at the absolutely wrong time.
No worries. Go ahead.
But those were the days when we had very few local participation. Eventually it built up. Peter Shiuka, we had Aziz Yakub, and people like that. But is it likely when we eventually get now to the WRC version of Safari Rally that we can be able to get our own individuals participating, not as part of the rally, but really as the Bjorn Vardegaards and the other ones that came in here? Because even in our own times, our drivers locally did not have that niche of their own. They were just there. You might put it in another language like flower girls. All right? Rather,
Abdul, were they?
can we now be able to say with some measure of confidence, and Abdul, you've been handling these people, so that we do not come in as an afterthought or be accommodated into that. Because even the few that we had, they struggled, they tried, but they did not measure up. I remember you've mentioned a bit about safety. I'm happy to say that I think we were able to save some rally drivers because from the aircraft, we could see just where they were going to go. It's round the bend, and there was a lorry coming out, and they were in a hurry. And we were able to tell them, if at all you're tuned to us, please know that there is this big vehicle that is coming. Fortunately, they happened to be listening to us, and they took caution.
Fantastic. Do you want to just say a word on that?
No, well done. He's got a good history, and in fact, I found you there. Yeah. So, rallying that time was different. Endurance, and we used to look forward to big drivers like Bjorn Waldegard, Hannu Metola, Timo Solonen, all these guys. And after they had gone, many wanted to pretend to be a Waldegard, and people used to buy
Joginder Singh, the Shakametas, and all that.
Those are the local drivers, the top guys. And there was an increment in the number of drivers coming up because of that urge to be among the top drivers in the world. Well,
I can see a question from Karib. Oh, Joan, you had a... sorry, Karib. Sorry.
Regarding safety, right now we have ensured that... regarding safety right now, we have ensured that every event does have a helicopter standby. We do have ambulances. Ambulances are deployed into the sections. We do have technical vehicles which are deployed into the sections, like most of them like 5 kilometers apart, just to ensure that nothing serious happens, and if it does, they can be able to report it immediately to the HQ, where a helicopter can be deployed within seconds. We do have a lot of marshals on the route as well to ensure that stand with the technical crew, which are mobiles and they have radios, so that they are always in connection with headquarters. They do record the vehicles that pass them so that we know how many vehicles are in the stage at the time. If there is a breakdown, that's why we make sure we have a sweeper car at the end of the stage to ensure that there is nothing on the stage that is blocking or in any way maybe an incident that has been reported, that we make sure that it is cleared. We do train, and we do train. Right now, we are beginning to train a lot of like the marshals in safety, in knowing how to evacuate an injured from a vehicle. We did it. We did a training just before Safari, the candidate event. So safety is being worked on thoroughly, and we're going to ensure that it is going to be par excellence when it comes to the WRC next year.
If I can just add on to answer Sammy's question. Motorsport has really evolved since those days. The cars are much, much quicker, and it started becoming dangerous, and that's why FIA had to step in, because it was becoming difficult to sell a dangerous sport. So they came in with all these safety measures. And then if you look at the dynamics also of sport, it has changed since those days. It is very commercial. Now somebody buys the rights for the WRC.
Same as Premiership football, when you
Somebody
buy rights
buys
for
the
football.
rights, and it has to make business sense. It has to make business sense. So unfortunately, some of our boys fall off the way in the process.
That's my question about what do we need to make it more attractive, which that's a very good point.
Just a small point on safety.
Yes, definitely. Just brief so that we can wind up.
Okay, thank you, moderator and panelists. I thought this was very, very useful, informative as far as I'm concerned. I learned a little bit more. I wish we had more time, and I hope that next time we can even do it even bigger and maybe make it a semi-annual event for motorsports and other sports. My question and comment, as we heard this morning from Dr. Mutua, is that there has been a lot of outcry about our unsung heroes. We do not look after our sportsmen and sports persons who have done over the years. We have a problem with many associations on the same. what is the status with Motorsports Association? Do they recognize their past heroes? Is there any historical records? Or is the association planning to do anything?
If I'm not wrong, we have a Hall of Fame. There is a Hall of Fame, but I'll let Abdul maybe just to contribute on that if there is something you might want to add to that.
They do actually recognize the past drivers, heroes, but we need more support. Right now, one of the biggest reasons for people not able to come into the sport is because it's very expensive. If beside the car, if you want to do a rally, the entry fee now is about 40,000 shillings. Forgetting the car you need to take from here to Mombasa and bring it back. You've got your crew to sleep in the same hotel, eat in the same place. You've got 4 mechanics, you've got your co-driver, you've got the service van. All that, it's really, really expensive. It's not easy. So we need the money that is coming from KCB, it is helping the clubs. But the clubs are also finding it difficult to organize events because the landowners have become clever now. There is so much money here. Why do you want us to give you land for free? And they're demanding for stages for the land to be used at a certain expense. So it is getting expensive on all sides. And I must say a big thank you to the drivers, to the competitors who are able to continue despite the fact it is expensive.
That's true.
Yeah. So we need, as Asif says, we need lots of support also from the government, which I'm not saying the government doesn't help. It has done a very big thing with the Safari Rally. But coming down to the other smaller events, we need bigger support. And if we can get, the better for the newcomers to come into the sport.
At least we have the Hall of Fame, which is recognizing, but it can be better and bigger and better, of course, with support. So, ladies and gentlemen, I think I would like to bring this panel to a close and really say thank you.
Can I say
Oh, there's a question. Okay. Chris, do we have time for that?
Actually, that gentleman there with the question,
yes,
he's a very special gentleman.
Fantastic.
Because he has a history in motorsports.
Fantastic.
In Safari Rally.
Fantastic.
And we go karting. So before he asks that question,
yes,
I'm going to ask him to come this way first, sir.
Okay, fantastic.
His name is Mr. Mehboob Nangji. Mr. Mehboob, give him a round of applause, please. Thank you. And now, as he comes over here, I'm going to ask him to ask his question, and then after he asks his question and he gets his answer, he's going to do something very special.
Okay.
Sorry about this. I've just got a question for MUSA here. You said that in the WRC event, only 4 or 5 cars will be allowed. Now what happens to the rest of them? I'm not finished the question. The rest of the cars, what we have, correct me if I'm wrong, are expensive cars as well. The Evos, Subarus and everything. Right? And they're good, quick cars as well. What happens to them? You're telling them, stop half an hour and separately. I don't think so, it's right. The rally is the WRC rally. And I'm paying the same fees, and the same expenses as the big guys. Maybe in a smaller thing, they'll have 5 service cars, I'll have 2. But what happened to them? I mean, it's not right. The Evos are costing anything between 6 to 8 million shillings. 25 million. So what happened to those guys?
Thanks for the question. Number one, it is not me.
No. You say,
okay.
right?
Yes, I say.
But what happens to them?
I'm only relating to directly to the regulations. Okay? And that's why I said we are seeking for dispensation because we cannot let all those cars just lie around and not rally. Yeah. But the ideal situation, if you follow the regulations, we are only, I'll go a bit technical, we are only allowed what is called WRC cars. Those are World Rally Manufacturing Teams. Then we have WRC2. Yeah, now this is the Skodas that we have here.
The R5s.
Yeah, that comes professional WRC2 and then privateers WRC3. That's the ideal situation. But we are seeking for a dispensation.
To make it a level playing ground. Because you have a very valid point with your question, because that question definitely will arise if that dispensation of that nature doesn't actually come through.
Because you see, we've been rallying under what we call regional regulations, Africa Rally Championship, which allowed all these cars that you're talking about. And that's what we've been doing for the last 17 years. So we've been in a very comfortable zone. But now things are changing.
Yeah, and with every change that comes, definitely we have to adjust, and it has its own consequences. So ladies and gentlemen, I know Chris is winking at me that to Maliza, but I'd like to just a quick one word, if they can make one word of a sentence, I don't know how that's possible, but Tuta, one word just before you go, your thoughts about, of course, this being a very unique platform to speak and association with film and sports.
I think first it's to thank Asif for putting it together and for the invite. I looked at the program and the panels and I was just wowed. So it's amazing.
Abdul, just a quick one.
Thank you, Asif. Well done. If you want to be Abdul SIDI, don't drink.
Don't smoke.
I know some guys have closed their ears. Don't smoke. I did only Form 1, and I've seen the world. I didn't do any course. I didn't do any refresher courses, nothing. My schoolmate was Kiraitu Murungi, the governor of Meru. So, follow me. Be the next Abdul SIDI. God bless you.
Fantastic, thank you. Wise words. Musa.
Yeah, of course, I'll have to thank Asif and company. Definitely, he's not alone, Chris and the rest. Thank you very much. Asif personally called me. I had a very tight schedule. As I leave here, I'm going straight to the airport to do a Eldoret rally, and then Sunday I do East African Classic rally. But I told him I'll take this opportunity to try and at least work with the rest of the team to articulate our issues. Thank you very much.
I also want to thank Asif, who did call me personally. I am grateful, I'm humbled. Thank you very much. I'd just like to say, on Rally, we are really working hard on the safety issue. It's very important to us, even worldwide. It's very important for us in Kenya. Our standards are high and continuing to be high. There's a lot of training going on. We want to promote the sport to make it safe and fun for everybody. And we look forward to the WRC next year. Thank you all very much.
Thank you, and thank you for your attention. Let's spread the word. I think we have, of course, the Facebook page, which I believe we were streaming live, if I'm not wrong, hopefully. But let's spread the word. Motorsport is here to stay, and we've got an amazing year coming up in 2020 with Safari Rally coming back. Thank you, everybody, for your time. Asante.